Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is a huge honor to be here today. My name is Mahalia White, and today my keynote is about leadership in the face of adversity. Today, I'll be talking about three pivotal moments during my time in college where I had to overcome challenges and use it as the basis for my leadership. Today, I'll be keying in on three pivotal themes. One, how to rise to the occasion when leadership calls upon you. Two, using previous instances of adversity as new motivation. And three, practicing a we over me mentality and leaning on your team for extra support. A little bit about me before I get started today. I recently finished my 7th year as an NCAA Division I athlete at UNF on the women's volleyball team this past fall. For those who are unfamiliar, 7 years is a long time. I know, I'm 25 when I finished my college season. But 4 years is a typical time frame. But for me, 7 years came with both lots of success and multiple setbacks. I started my athletic career at UC Davis, where I spent 5 years and pursued my bachelor's degree in American Studies. And I'll be finishing up my master's degree in communication management, concentrating in leadership this summer at UNF. It's funny because a lot of my friends who've been a college athlete before always tell me, I can't believe that you spent so long in college athletics. I would have retired. And while it was a little ambitious, I can easily say I am super grateful for my time. I've had amazing opportunities to play my sport at an elite level and really establish myself as a leader. My leadership started with guiding my team on the court, but transpired to using my platform to lead in my community at large. As a whole, the time that I spent in college, from the highlights of my career to the lowest points of my entire life, really shaped me into who I am today. And I hope that upon hearing my story, it inspires you too. Initially, when I came to college, I thought that leadership was simply a title given to someone based on their ranking or the contributions that they were making to the team. But I've come to learn that leadership is more than that. It's about providing resources, motivating and instilling beliefs into others, and using your platform to make change, even in the face of adversity. I remember when I initially came to college, my coaches said that I wouldn't be a starter on the volleyball team. However, I worked relentlessly to earn a spot on the court. I would stay after practice every day for reps, for extra reps, and do all the right things to be the best player that I could be for my team. That season, I not only led my team, but led the entire conference in kills per set and helped my team beat opponents who we have historically never beat. Oh, and I also won all conference freshman of the year, too. However, that season, I was facing immense pain that I had associated with volleyball. From the beginning of season in August till the end of season in November, I was in the training room every single day to treat back pain, which was only progressively getting worse. While I knew it wasn't the best for me, I always downplayed the intensity of my pain because in my mind, I wanted to be on the court. To me, I thought I was exhibiting leadership because I was sacrificing my pain to help my team win. It wasn't until the day after my 19th birthday, on December 4th, that I found out what was really going on. Cancer. I was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it was presented in a rare form. The initial lesions in my body had spread to my bones, which ultimately made my pelvis, ribs, and spine weak and made me at risk of paralyzation. I was on a 6-month chemotherapy plan, but in terms of my athletics, I was out until my bones fully healed. This took over a year to begin even practicing again. I had lost 30 pounds of weight, lost all of my hair and muscle mass, and I was battling severe pneumonia. I was in the weakest state, both physically and mentally, and I felt like I lost my identity. During this time, however, I still decided to attend classes and live on campus while getting treatment at the UC Davis Hospital. Because I was only 19 at the time, I was in the pediatric oncology department. And while it felt a little funny at first, being the oldest and tallest child in the care unit by a landslide, I ended up loving it because I was able to connect with so many young kids who are also battling cancer. While there were days where I was having the toughest days of treatment and toughest days in my life, I always try to have a positive outlook so that the young kids and their families can feel empowered. I remember this one specific memory that I had after my third chemo session, which normally called for a 4-day hospital admission. I ran into a crying family who had just submitted their child into getting their surgery for their port placement. And while it's typically the hardest day for me after the fourth day, where I'm the weakest and most fatigued, I remember spending about 45 minutes with them, talking with them in order to help them. I try to share my experience with the surgery and what helped me recover. But more than anything, I wanted to instill a sense of hope. I explained to them that having a positive support system has been the key factor in getting me through my treatment. And while I know it's not going to be easy for them, they need to be strong for their child. While I myself had reservations on how I would survive, leaning on strong individuals like my mom, who has had cancer and overcame it, served as a role model for me and made me believe that I can do it too. As someone who's going through the same battle as their child, it takes people to remind you of your strength when you forget. So every time I was in the hospital, I would always play with them and make them smile. And I always told them that they were so strong, and I felt even stronger for fighting our battle together. I always attribute the strength that I had during my time with cancer to my support system. While I normally pride myself on being a very strong student athlete, I was in a vulnerable position where I had to lean on my support system more than I was used to. My friends and family were always there for me when I was sick to care for me and always spoke words of positivity and empowerment. I always had extra gratitude towards the little things like laughter and quality time because they made me forget about all the negative things that I was going through. Additionally, I was in awe with how my campus community rallied together to support me. My athletic department, they organized encouraging videos, gift baskets, and even made over 1,000 bracelets that said Mahalia on it. I was always motivated walking around campus and seeing students and faculty wearing the wristband because I never felt alone. Finally, I was lucky to utilize so many resources offered by amazing organizations that do charitable work to improve the quality of cancer care for both the patients and their families. Specifically, the Ronald McDonald House, St. Baldrick's Foundation, and Keaton Child Cancer Alliance are the three organizations that not only supported me as a patient, but taught me to use my story or my testimony to help and support others. It was around the same time where I was starting to get local recognition from the media about being a college student with cancer. The local news reached out to me in order to share my story in hopes of inspiring others, but initially I was scared. However, I used this as an opportunity to talk about the outpour of love and support that I received, which ultimately made me stronger. In turn, I wanted to be a positive role model to others who are also going through tough times and really have to be that person where somebody could look up to. It was during these times where I wanted to also give back to the organizations that were supporting me. For example, I would always volunteer my time at the Ronald McDonald House and play with kids who were in treatment. Additionally, I helped organize a fundraiser for St. Baldrick's where people shaved their heads to raise money for cancer research. Over 40 people participated in the event, and I helped the community raise over $26,000. Finally, I was super grateful to be an ambassador for Keaton Child Cancer Alliance, in which I accompany many organizational leaders on the local news and formal events to talk about the charitable work that they do for people like myself. During this time, I've come to realize that there were so many ways that I was able to give back and still be a positive leader in my community, despite the adversity that I was going through. And this made me feel empowering and made me want to share that with others as well. It's funny how leadership can sometimes call upon you when you least expect it or feel least prepared. As a leader, it's okay to have those doubts of uncertainty and feeling like maybe you can't push through it during certain days. But it's also very important to be able to recognize that and lean on your support system when you need them the most. During my time with cancer, there were days where I was too sick to even get out of bed or feel like I was able to do anything. But there were also many days where I was able to collect my strength and do everything in my power to rise to the occasion and support my community and the peers around me. While the first story I share highlights how leadership sometimes arises in unanticipated moments in life, the next story I share shows how leaders can use previous instances of adversity for new challenges. In 2019, I had a very successful comeback season after fully recovering from my cancer, not to mention breaking a program record for the highest kill percentage in a single match during my first game back. I had the honor of being called captain for our team, and I had the full offseason to train. So I was looking forward to bringing others along with me in our pursuit to winning a championship. However, this is when the next instance of adversity happened. When the COVID-19 pandemic arose in 2020, our volleyball team had no season to look forward to because the Big West Conference decided to cancel play. Having no volleyball season meant spending extra time to team build and build trust with our team to really push ourselves to a higher standard in training. Essentially, I wanted to be a captain who could expect the best out of my team while positively bringing it out of them. It was also during this same time where I was highly getting involved with diversity, equity, and inclusion work as I helped co-founded the Coalition for the African Diaspora Student Athletes, and I was a student athlete on the DE&I board for both UC Davis and the Big West Conference. In CADSA, we helped founded initiatives that advanced and supported the Black student athlete population and helped build allyship and education for our diverse student population on our campus. We also created extra resources for people in our campus community who needed extra support. Things were going to plan, and I had just fulfilled the role of president for CADSA in early 2021 until the next instance of adversity happened. It was an early day in February, and my volleyball team had about 5 more minutes left of practice. And I remember my coach coming up to me being like, Mahalia, I think we should end practice early today. What do you think? And in total Mahalia White fashion, I was like, no, let's finish out the day strong. I kid you not, the immediate next play, I landed wrong and I tore my ACL. This made me miss yet another season and really tested my mental strength all over again. Right after I tore my ACL, I was really down. I just couldn't believe that something this severe can happen to me again. But I remember telling myself, Mahalia, I'm only giving you 5 days to be sad about this, and then we go to work. And I did just that. While an ACL injury is not an easy battle by any means, I wasn't going to let my injury define me. Instead, I looked at previous instances of adversity in the hospital when I was fighting for my life as self-motivation. I also started to practice gratitude for things instead of mourning this new setback that I was facing. So the little things like being able to walk again, graduating from wearing my brace, to my first few jumps after 7 months really encouraged me to keep pushing forward. Having this positive mindset towards my recovery gave me the strength to still lead as a captain for my team. I recognized that there was a lot of knowledge that I had acquired from my 2 years as a starter, and it became my role to teach and guide our underclassmen who were playing at the collegiate level for the first time. While I was on the sidelines, I still wanted my energy to be felt. So I was always the loudest and proudest on the bench, and I always made sure to give both positive and constructive feedback, because at the end of the day, the goal was still the same, to win. I also stayed involved and still led in DEI and CADS as well, because the need for community and support was even greater. Something I'm proud of is that my board in CADSA never faltered in their passion towards meeting our goals. And one of my CADSA board members, who's also a freshman on my volleyball team, said it's because as a president, I never gave up, even in the midst of adversity. Because we supported each other on the board, we always found new ways for CADSA and DEI to thrive and really impact everybody on our campus. In fact, one of my favorite quotes comes from my time in CADSA. We hosted an empowerment panel led by an ex-WNBA player, Ruthie Bolton, who is also a domestic abuse survivor. She shared a saying that got her through her toughest times, which I will be sharing with you guys today. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. To this day, I think about how adversity really does make or break you. In the face of adversity, there is always an option to run away or to quit. Recognize it's going to be hard, but you can overcome your challenges and find strength in your own personal pursuits towards your goal and towards the support that you have for your campus, community, and your team. And when things get tough, and when you have those doubts, which is inevitable, always look to those previous successes that you had with adversity and believe in yourself that you will come back stronger than you were before. Finally, I wanted to share a recent occurrence of adversity I had faced. While I know all the adversity I talked about so far has been the worst case scenario of things, I know. A lot of times we forget that regular inconveniences or regular performance struggles are also types of adversity that we as leaders face on a day-to-day basis. I'm not sure why my adversity seems to happen every 2 years, but anyways, 2 years later, I'm about to start my second season at UNF. I had an amazing first season back in 2021 when I transferred to UNF, or 2022 when I transferred to UNF, and I was able to fully recover from my ACL and moved all the way across the country on my own. And I was just looking forward to capitalizing on it during my seventh and final year. During my first season back, I felt like there were no expectations for myself, and I was just looking forward to a new beginning and continuing my athletic journey. I also received some amazing accolades like the Honda Inspiration Award and 2023 ASUN Preseason Player of the Year. But when season started in 2023, I feel like I wasn't playing as well as I expected nor wanted to be. In fact, my lack of performance and my suffocating expectations of myself really made me start to doubt myself and gave me performance anxiety. I was frustrated to say the least because I had worked so hard to thrive in the fall season, putting in all the work in spring and in the summer. But for some reason, I felt like things just weren't coming together for me. The seasons that I was healthy, I was leading my team in multiple statistic categories, and I felt like my leadership followed easily because of it. And the seasons where I was out, I had to step outside of my comfort zone to still make an impact on the court. This season was different though. Nothing was wrong with me physically. However, my expectations and my performance weren't aligning, which ultimately made me shy away from being the leader that I knew I could be. I remember this one practice that we had around the end of preseason after our team had a few losses. It was early enough in the season for us to address the things that needed an immediate change to still have a successful season. While I was a little scared to talk at first, I realized that in order for me to change, I need to address to my team and to myself what's really going on. I remember telling my team, I'm struggling with my confidence right now, and I feel like I can't lead because I'm not performing the way that I needed to. I asked, how can I still support them as a captain? But I also asked if they could support me. As a leader, it's hard to have these moments of vulnerability because your team looks up to you. But in reality, these moments of vulnerability actually helps you because it humanizes you and makes your team understand you so that they can support you. My team supported me and told me that despite how I played, They needed me to be consistent in the attributes that made me a leader in the first place. So they still wanted me to have that positive, unwavering energy that I was known for and still communicate at a high level and let my actions follow. That said, it's not about always getting the ball the most or making the most points, but modeling leadership in terms of my drive, doing the right things, and always putting my team first. This made me realize this is not something that was new to me. In previous instances of adversity, I had to put my team first. And this shouldn't change even if I'm not performing my best. While it's okay to want to have those high aspiring goals for yourself, always practice a we over me mentality. And while I still want to practice every day to re-earn my starting spot on the court, my main focus was doing everything that I can do to make my team around me better. Because at the end of the day, wins and losses are reflective of leadership, and I take great ownership of that. So as I've come to the end of my athletic journey, I have no regrets with any of the seasons that I have played or been on the sideline, including this one. Who I am is more than the stats that I have acquired, the accolades I've received. And I hope that I left a legacy of being a leader who always put my team first and always giving my team my best. So to conclude, adversity can happen to any of us, even when we least expect it. It shouldn't deter you from your goals, but it should make you determined, as it may call for you to take a new approach in meeting your goals. When leading a team, it's very important for all members to support each other, especially when challenges arise. But how can you expect to lean on your team if they can't even lean on you? It takes trust to be vulnerable and use it as a bridge to empower those around you. In turn, you can use your setbacks as a reminder that you can persevere and pay it forward to make others believe in themselves as well. A quote that I would like to end on is this: if you feed someone a fish, you'll feed them for a day. If you teach them to fish, you'll feed them for a lifetime. That said, life is not always going to be easy, but facing challenges and learning from your experiences makes you resilient and equips you with skills to conquer anything. Thank you.